Hey, cats. Welcome in. Today we're going to do a little something different. We're going to talk about where we are as a species, where we might be going. Are we alone in the universe? And if not, does it disprove God? All right, but you know the deal. Need some of that with this. You want to hit it? Go. Insane to think that our planet came from this in just a few 100 million years, the blink of an eye cosmically, to the vast heights of what you see before you, and to think that we're the only planet in the vast universe to be able to achieve that and more is childish and naive. According to the Kardashev scale and the Dyson levels, we aren't even a type 0 civilization, which that's being able to harness and store the power of our own planet.
She's steady asking me if my soul is safe. Yeah, it's in the deep freezer, it's gonna stay that way. I don't give a fuck if you're mad, you can die mad. I don't give a fuck.
Hey cats, welcome to the show. So pretty obvious what we're going at this afternoon. The question has been around since the dawn of civilization. Are we alone? Right? Is there a God? Are there gods? So on and so forth. It seems that it's got a lot of bad, press or what have you in previous years. Especially, in recent times, it's all about, it's a conspiracy theory. I mean, to think that, a planet could be habitable or currently sustain life in the vastness of the universe, right? Here recently, it's got some new debate because of some releases. We'll get to this in a little while. We're going to start off with the past. Man has always, like I said, theorized. There's been proof of sightings and whatnot, not only through the art, paintings, etchings, sarcophagi, but also through the writings. Writings that they were, as far as we're concerned, they're limited linguistically, so they had a hard time expressing to the future. In their time, people understood exactly what they were trying to say, right? But we look at it like it's a joke. I mean, you look at the Epic of Gilgamesh, the Book of Enoch, which was left out of the Bible, the current version of the Bible, by the way. And they all depict, flying machines, causing damage, heat, flames, rumbling the earth. And they referred to them as things like fiery chariots, which again, modern man's, that's legend, that's myth, but yet the sightings continue. And I know people like to think, or argue the fact, like, why would they come, fuck with us? Basically, it's like savages. I mean, it'd be the same thing as you sitting outside and observing the wildlife, birds, ants, what have you. Most of the time, if you're, a halfway sentient person, I guess, you're not out here trying to just smash them for no reason. You might check it out or whatever, as long as they're not bothering you. You don't bother them. Similar scenario, I tend to believe. Do I think that they're coming down and fucking anally probing people and shit? No, I don't. But I also do believe that just visitation alone could be confused by our ancestors as being gods. I mean, you think about in previous wars in the 50s, 60s, we encountered tribes that had never seen modern day equipment before, and they literally bowed to soldiers like gods. They built statues or their likeness of helicopters and whatnot, praying for them to come back. Right? But before I get too off in this, I'm going to let some of the masters show you, where I'm coming from. They like to take a lot from the Bible or comparisons to the Bible, because the Bible is just excerpts of Sumer and Assyrian writings, basically, and both of these men spent their lives and lots of money translating, studying, traveling the planet to look at relics and sites and whatnot. All right, but we'll start off with the Godfather himself. which would be Zachariah Sitchin. I'll roll out this first clip. Check this out.
But I'm very interested in the sons of God also. That is, were the Elohim the sons of God, or were the Elohim
They were the
sons of
Anunnaki,
God?
and it is their sons born on earth who married the daughters of Adam.
So then we could say then what you're saying is the Elohim were the ones that in the Hebrew is referred to as the sons of God.
No, the Elohim are what the Sumerians called Anunnaki.
Okay.
Those who from heaven to earth came.
Mm-hmm.
They are Elohim in the Bible. Indeed, when you encounter this term, and mostly in connection with the so-called pagan gods that are also called Elohim in the Bible, indeed at some point Joshua gives the Israelites, before they cross the Jordan into the promised land, they say, you now have a choice, like make up your mind. Do you want to follow the Elohim of Egypt? Do you want to follow the Elohim of Mesopotamia? Or do you want to follow Yahweh as the monotheistic concept of one God that rules, controls, designs, etc., everything?
You know, the prophet Daniel in the Old Testament, I think it's 4:23 in Daniel, says that he was given a vision by God where he saw the earth, and it was in a total, the words were a desolation, a destruction and a desolation of the world, in a vision taking him back to an ancient time. Can't remember exactly how the words were in Daniel, but that reminded me of Genesis 1:2, where it says that God created the heavens of the earth, or Elohim created the heavens of the earth, and the earth
I raise my hand
Yeah.
to tell you that. I mean, indirectly you raise a very, very fundamental question for biblical scholars, and thus for theologians. In Hebrew, the verse says, Bereshit, which is translated in the beginning. Elohim, God, created the heaven and the earth. And many, many theologians, for generations, even goes back to Talmudic times, even the time of the temple, the second temple, asked how could it be that the story of creation, of beginning, starts with the second letter of the alphabet, the bet, the beta, the B, and not with the first letter of the alphabet, the aleph, the alpha. It just beats logic, beats your beliefs. And what I show in my book, the latest one, Divine Encounters, is that if you add the aleph, which may have dropped somewhere along the rewritings, etc., of the Bible, it becomes that not Bereshit, Av Reshit, the father of beginning, created Elohim, the heaven and the earth.
Oh, okay.
So the supreme creator created the Anunnaki, Elohim, the heaven and the earth.
And that is a whole different
And
subject.
that I really hope that through this interview and all all the exposure that it will thus give, that those who have the say in these matters would really consider this suggestion by me, that if you add the aleph, you give a whole new dimension to this first sentence of the first book of the Bible.
Zachariah Sitchin. I mean, he's breaking it down. I mean, he's telling you that, the Bible is, again, excerpts of Sumer and Assyrian writings, and that, basically just twisted and tweaked the words to fit their own language. Not that they changed the meaning, rather just the language. You know, it's pretty deep when you think about it, especially when it mentions in with the who bred with the offspring of Adam and Eve, right? And also people don't like to believe it. Again, it's a fable or a legend, conspiracy theory, but the vast majority of humans on the planet can trace their ancestry DNA down to a common ancestor. I mean, it is what it is, But I'll let Zach right here finish. Here's another a little shorter one this time, explaining more on exactly that.
Daniel in the Old Testament, I think it's 4:23 in Daniel, says that he was given a vision by God where he saw the earth and it was in a total, the words were a desolation, a destruction and a desolation of the world, in a vision taking him back to an ancient time. Can't remember exactly how the words were in Daniel, but that reminded me of Genesis 1:2, where it says that God created the heavens of the earth, or Elohim created the heavens of the earth, and the earth
I raise
was,
my hand
yeah.
to tell you that. I mean, indirectly you raise a very, very fundamental question for biblical scholars, and that's for theologians. In Hebrew, the verse says, Bereshit, which is translated in the beginning. Elohim, God, created the heaven and the earth. And many, many theologians, for generations, even goes back to Talmudic times, even the time of the temple, the second temple, asked how could it be that the story of creation, of beginning, starts with the second letter of the alphabet, the bet, the beta, the B, and not with the first letter of the alphabet, the aleph, the alpha. It just beats logic, beats your beliefs. And what I show in my book, the latest one, Divine Encounters, is that if you add the aleph, which may have dropped somewhere along the rewritings, etc., of the Bible, it becomes that not Bereshit, Av Reshit, the father of beginning, created Elohim, the heaven and the earth.
Oh, okay.
So the supreme creator created the Anunnaki, Elohim, the heaven and the earth.
And that.
Yeah, I mean, the dude spent a lot of time and effort through his lifespan to give you this information. Basically, he's telling you that they've known for, quite hundreds of, possibly thousands of years, that the original text has been mistranslated, and that it's not in the beginning, that it's supposed to be, the father of the beginning. Basically, God is more than the human mind could ever fathom. All right, it's whatever constitutes God, whether that's energy, whatever the case, it's bigger. It's bigger than we could possibly fit our minds around. We have a hard time imagining, stars, let alone the vastness of everything, right? But as far as the mistranslation thing goes, that's where again the Sumer and Assyrian writings come in. Now we'll skip forward a little bit. Brings us to Eric von Daniken. I'm sure plenty of you have heard the name, seen his face and whatnot. And unfortunately, you had old Giorgio Tsoukalos cashing in on him with his wild hair and aliens, right? But the man is much more than that. He's got just a string of books like Sitchin, right? If you ever want to get into them, Sitchin, Earth Chronicles, absolutely terrific. And then with Von Daniken, Gold of the Gods. I mean, amazing, right? All his books are pretty small, only a few hundred pages, but they're jam packed full of photos and whatnot. Gold of the Gods in particular, it shows proof of the lizard people. Basically, it's got a lot of Polaroids in there. Basically, an underground in Peru, a Peruvian underground city with statues, reptilian statues and whatnot, domed ceilings, lots of gold and silver artifacts. But anyway, before we spin off too far from that, like I said, I'm going to let Von Daniken explain to you a little bit about the Bible, misconceptions, and translations. Check this out, somebody after.
Some unknown thousands of years ago, a group of extraterrestrials arrived here. And that was not coincidence. Because again, long before, millions of years ago, they created life simply by infecting a certain region of their Milky Way with DNA. They knew exactly that only on planets which are similar than the one they came, some life would be evolved. So they knew in advance that they would come to Earth and they will find forms of life. And then the Lord descends with smoke, fire, trembling, loud noise. In the Bible it says, and the mountain looked like an oven, like a fire. So my God is a spiritual being. My God does not need a vehicle in which to move around, come down, smoke, fire, loud noise, trembling, etc. So that's why in the Bible we find many descriptions about extraterrestrials. We simply translated it wrong.
Eric Von Daniken, right? I mean, he's obviously telling you like things are just mistranslated, which is pretty easy to imagine. I mean, if you change a word changes a sentence changes a paragraph, and so on and so forth, right? And then you also look at other things, like I mentioned the Book of Enoch. Okay, that came from the Bible. It was left out of the King James version. Enoch was supposed to be, I believe, it's either the grandfather or the great-grandfather of Noah, right? But he was supposed to be the holiest man that ever walked the earth. He was supposed to be the one of only two people that, quote unquote, God ever took from this plane in human form, basically, as a live person. And he became God's scribe, known as Metatron. A lot of people think that he was also Apollo, right? Apollo being one of the only gods spoken of different cultures and different languages by the same name, giver of written language, speech, and whatnot. And then there's also theories that Jesus Christ was actually just another, incarnation of Metatron, right? It was just a God scribe bringing messages or whatnot. And then you go on to like the Epic of Gilgamesh. Again, this is the story of the last Assyrian king, the Emperor of Ur, right? Rather. And there's a lot of stories in there that directly correlate to the Bible that were obvious. The Bible later, borrowed or plagiarized or whatever. Different names and whatnot. Obviously, different dates. They talk about the flood. But they refer to it as the deluge or pre-deluge. There's a Moses character that God, after his act of saving, species or whatnot, he was given the gift of eternal life. Gilgamesh goes on a quest to find him, to gain that himself. Is told that he can't be given it. It can only be given by God, but that he can get, a relic that will help prolong his life. His best friend is Enki, who is also a god. But it goes on again, just like the Book of Enoch. It explains fiery chariots. So the Book of Enoch goes further with schematics, even, right? And then so now we'll jump forward. current times, right? There was some recent stuff. I'm not going to go into too much into it because I'm going to let the video explain it. It's a pretty good clip. But this is starting. This is what started in the last 5 years. New debate, and led to, I believe, this government release during COVID. But anyway, without further ado, I'll let you check out this little clip here.
On October 19, 2017, at the Haleakala Observatory in Hawaii, human beings detected the first ever visitor from interstellar space, an object from outside our own solar system.
A pair of Harvard scientists say a massive, fast-moving visitor to our solar system may have been a probe sent by an advanced alien civilization.
It's an alien spacecraft.
Some sort of alien technology, perhaps exploring the cosmos.
It's called Oumuamua, which roughly translates as messenger from the past reaching out to us in Hawaiian.
Everything in our solar system is on a closed loop. Some orbits are nearly circular, some are elongated. This one was an open-ended orbit, which means it's coming from outside the solar system.
Then, something even more strange happened. Upon leaving the inner solar system, astronomers reported an unexpected acceleration, only adding to the hypothesis that Oumuamua was some sort of alien creation.
It would be exciting to think this is an alien spacecraft. It's one of the burning questions on many minds is, are we alone? But you have to be responsible about it, and if there is a perfectly common explanation, you shouldn't go to the exotic explanation.
After observing the object, most astronomers agreed that it's probably a comet, like 2I Borisov, the other interstellar object seen a year later. But we may never know for sure.
Things that come in on these type of very elongated orbits move really fast when they're close to the sun, and then they're much slower as they move out of the solar system. So when you looked at the brightness of this object, it was going to only be easy to observe for about a week.
In that short window of time, with just a pinpoint of light, scientists were able to make guesses on the object's shape, its size, how fast it was spinning, and its color, which is thought to be reddish. But there are a lot of questions about Oumuamua and space that will remain unanswered unless we're able to act more quickly.
So it's pretty wild shit, right? I mean, this is Oumuamua. It's like I said, it's like they showed you on there. It's supposed to be like a cigar-shaped, what was originally termed a comet and then later retermed an asteroid. But, of course, you have the naysayers, like Neil Tyson, he says that basically that there wasn't cigar shape, that you were only seeing the reflection of debris breaking off, pulling in its own gravity, basically. And then, but besides him, you have two pretty prominent Harvard professors that, say the opposite. One of which, the more prominent of the two, Avi Loeb is his name, and he actually says that he believes that it was an alien probe or like a drone, and the reason why is because the slingshot effect of anything that comes within a certain range of the sun, it's going to go around and burst off, with a burst of speed there on that back end as it comes out, but as it gets to a certain point, it's going to slow down, right? Well, this thing actually sped up. And that's the reason, the abnormality there, they really set things on fire and started a debate, which, like I said, I believe led to, the current affairs. All right. Check out this little clip right here. It's basically just showing you the flight pattern of, the extraterrestrial or, the asteroid or what have you. But check it out. cool, right? So, I mean, obviously it shows you the flight pattern. It shows you there at the end how it speeded up when it should have been slowing down. Like I said, this set off kind of a debate because of it. There's some, the professor that is the most vocal about this being alien technology, A.V. Loeb. He's also involved currently in a project for monitoring the skies through a system of sensors, cameras that are lensed through telescope equipment. And any odd moving or extremely fast moving objects, will set it off basically, and it's going to send information, back for it to be analyzed. But it's pretty easy to write off, something like that. You can be easy to be a Neil Tyson and just say, it's some space bullshit. I mean, plausible, obviously. But at the same time, you're getting releases like these, right? And this is supposed to be the surface of Mars, which this appears to be some type of massive upright structure, right? And Oumuamua was actually meters long, which, plausible again, upright landing, uninhabitable planet, so we're told. They can get their shit and get the hell out, as far as minerals or whatnot to refuel. But then we'll jump forward. Professor Machio Kaku, little clip here. He was on the Joe Rogan show, and he's giving you his opinion. All right, check this little clip out here. Don't worry, it's going to be one of the last ones, all right? But I got one more after this. But check him out. I mean, this is a seriously respected astrophysicist, physicist from University of New York. But check him out.
One person would see something in the sky and say, look, Martha, look, there's something up there. Now things have changed. Now we have multiple sightings by multiple modes. That is the gold standard. The gold standard for looking for these objects. Not just one person, but several people that are reputable. Not just radar, but visual sighting, infrared sensors, telescopic evidence. Now we have multiple sightings by multiple modes. And so the burden of proof has shifted. It used to be the burden of proof was on the people who believed in UFOs. They saw something, prove it. Now the burden of proof has shifted to the Pentagon, to the military. Now they have to prove that these aren't extraterrestrial. And so I think there's been a sea change in the last just several years. 50 years ago, there was a congressional hearing, and it was coming out of Project Blue Book. And there was a lot of laughter and a lot of jokes about little green men in outer space. 50 years ago, that's the way it was. Now things have changed. Now people are looking at are they a threat militarily? What kinds of sensors do we have? What kind of metrics do we have? We now have frame by frame an analysis of these objects. These objects travel between Mach 5 and Mach 20. That's 20 times the speed of sound. These objects can zigzag, and we can measure the g-force inside this object. The g-forces are several hundred times the force of gravity. In other words, any living person's bones would be crushed by these objects, so they're probably drones of some sort. These objects can drop 70,000 feet in a few seconds. Think about that. It can drop a tremendous distance in just a few seconds, and they can go underwater. This is something that we didn't realize before, but yes, they can actually go underwater. And they also move without creating an exhaust or breaking the sound barrier.
So, you've seen him, right? Respected physicist there, like I said, University of New York, and he's telling you that the shit is too advanced now, right? They cannot hide it. There's too many things picking this shit up, okay? So, I mean, it went from it's a conspiracy theory to are they going to fucking kill us? You know what I mean? That's basically what he just told you right there, okay? And there's too many people reputable that are looking for this shit, like he just stated himself, to deny the fact that, there's a reason to be looking, basically. Which brings us up to current shit, right? Current events. It brings out this kind of bullshit, right? They're telling you that they're looking for UFOs, and they're looking for specifically things that are not man-made, okay? And, the Senate, right? It's the government. Take it for what you will. obviously there's a good possibility it's just another distraction. It's to set you up to look over here while we do this. But, to me, like I just said, it's just getting to the point now to where it can't be hidden. I mean, cameras and phones and everything are too advanced. I mean, you got people that own infrared equipment. It's not like it's just a military covert thing now. I mean, there's people that have it for home use. So that brings us into our final clip here. It's again, they couldn't hide it, so they figured might as well release it. So here's a clip of some videos that have been either corroborated by or released by the United States government. All right, there you go. Somebody after this.
Vision video from a Navy destroyer, a mysterious flying triangle above the deck of the ship. The Pentagon confirming the images obtained by documentary filmmaker Jeremy Corbell were taken by Navy personnel, expected to be a part of a report on unidentified aerial phenomenon to be presented to Congress this summer. Already online, some skeptics say the images are caused by cameras trying to focus, but some of the objects go beyond just flying in the sky. One shows a spherical object dipping into the ocean, similar to an incident in Puerto Rico where an object was tracked buzzing an airport, then flying into the water, popping back out before appearing to split into two and disappearing. Over the last several weeks, some of the nation's top former intelligence officials have been raising eyebrows.
Look at that thing. It's rotating.
Former CIA Director R. James Woolsey said he knew of a case where a plane was paused in midair.
A friend of mine was able to have his aircraft stop at 40,000 feet or so and not continue operating as a normal aircraft. What was going on?
In December, ex-CIA Director John Brennan said it was arrogant to believe there are no other forms of life other than the ones on Earth. And former intelligence chief John Ratcliffe says officials have been tracking technology beyond our capabilities.
We're talking about objects picked up by satellite imagery that are difficult to explain.
Like another incident off the coast of California in 2004 when a fighter squadron encountered an object that seemed to defy gravity.
What do you think it is?
I honestly don't know. I don't think that we have developed that technology. I don't think we developed it on this planet.
Video from that encounter and two other incidents were officially released by the Pentagon last year. Now new signs that the Pentagon could declassify more sightings of what they can't explain.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude.
Right? So there it is, man. I mean, you're talking fucking, footage of military aircraft trying to engage or not wanting to engage, however you look at it, I guess, man. But, it's basically, I mean, all things are pointing to the fact that, we're not alone. And we've known it for a long, long time, man. We're basically a people with amnesia. We forget where we come from, let alone where we've been and what we've seen. And we got to stop looking at our ancestors as like idiots that just told fucking weird stories around campfires. I mean, you got to come to terms with the fact that these people saw things, experienced things that they couldn't explain, at least in linguistics terms that we would still understand it today. I mean, when you hear the term, like I said, fiery chariot or something, or, an angel, you automatically, think someone's crazy or it's a bedtime story. And it's beginning to look more and more like that's not the case. right? And the closer we come to, being a type 1 civilization, maybe we're stirring interest. Maybe there's an uptick in activity because we are technologically advancing, and they're judging us. They want to see if there's somebody they want to share the damn galaxy with, right? I mean, again, plausible. But to me, all this boils down to the question of people that don't want to believe, for the most part, are either just natural born skeptics, tend to question every damn thing, or they're Judeo-Christian like, and they think it disproves God or it's against God, or heretical or what have you. In my view, it doesn't disprove God. To me, it says God's more than the puny human mind can imagine, and I'm sure his metaphorical belt buckle says "bad motherfucker" on it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's the vastness of the universe, and to think that we could possibly only be one of many universes, right? It's when it comes into the multidimensional, the multiverse theory, which is a whole nother show in itself. But, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, you thank my brother Nate Dogg. Much love, bro. This is your request, man. If you didn't, fuck off. But you know what to do if you did, all right? Like, share, subscribe, tell your homies about it. You know what I mean? Let's get some conversations going. Hit me up in the comments. We can bullshit, argue, debate, whatever, man. All right? Smell you later.
I was going to put him...
Idiots.